We've been warning about this for months, and now it looks like it's finally here. Over the past 72 hours, the United States started rolling out a new way to draw China and Russia into a war by drawing ridiculous red lines in Ukraine and launching a new stunning propaganda machine. This thing is amazing. And the most stunning part is that the United States just admitted they're lying in order to create this conflict. Yeah, they're on the record about this. I'll have more on that in just a moment. But first, the United States just announced it's sending troops to Taiwan and more military assets to prepare for the coming war with China. Yes, they said this out loud, that they're pushing more fake news about China and Russia. They're hoping you're too stupid to read a book or to dive into the truth so that you'll just fall in line and go along with whatever propaganda they're heaving at us this week. We'll get to all of this and these latest developments around the propaganda and Putin and China's response to the West in a moment. But first, the United States is desperately trying to hold on to U.S. hegemony right now around the U.S. dollar. And instead of doing it through economic incentives, like China's doing with a multi-trillion-dollar Belt and Road Initiative, which has drawn in all sorts of new partners in the Middle East and Asia, even Germany, instead, America is doing the opposite. It's using military force to try and hold on to power. And America's infrastructure is crumbling right before our eyes. And President Biden just announced another $10 billion be sent to Ukraine to help their economy. You can't even make this up. If you needed any more evidence of America's collapsing infrastructure, just look at the many railroad derailments or bridge collapses over the past few months.
Tonight, authorities are on the scene of a deadly bridge collapse in Clay County, Missouri.
There's more bridge collapses happening every week. Or if you need more evidence that America is in trouble, just look at how one of the Village people showed up in East Palestine, Ohio to save the day after the Biden administration allowed Norfolk Southern Railroad to destroy the town by burning deadly chemicals. So do you feel any safer now that Pete Buttigieg showed up in Ohio? I'd feel safer if Barney Fife showed up in Ohio. So this is America right now, where politicians lie right to your face about how good your life is, like Vice President Kamala Harris telling us that the Biden administration has lowered energy prices and put more money in your pocket.
For working families, we have reduced heating and electricity bills. So folks have more money in their pocket to buy things like school supplies, replace the dishwasher, or take a family vacation.
That's a categorical lie. In fact, prices are up dramatically over the past year in every major category. It's gotten so bad that people are sharing new ways to cook food or heat their homes, like this viral video teaching people how to save gas money by instead buying a can of tuna, using the oil in the tuna, light it on fire, and then cook inside or outside your home. Hey, it's cheaper than using natural gas. So this is what we get when the West blows up a cheap gas pipeline to Germany. People burning tuna or turning off their heat altogether. And it's been a very mild winter. The real problem will be winter of next year, when those stockpiles run out and there's no cheap gas to refill them. And America, of course, likes to lecture the world about how to live after we blow up their pipeline. Just walk down the street in any major American city right now and you're going to see their policies in action. Just walk down Kensington Avenue in my hometown of Philadelphia and see the drug addicted stumbling over themselves, falling in the middle of the street, or the tent cities that are just blocks from the White House. But our priorities, of course, are sending $10 billion additionally to Ukraine. So this week we saw a major turn in the effort to draw Russia and China into an armed conflict with NATO forces, and major revelations that the United States is actively lying about both Russia and China, in fact, admitting that they're lying, which we'll get to in a minute. But first, President Biden flying into Ukraine under the dark of night last week, instead of flying to East Palestine, Ohio. Here he pledges more money and aid to Vladimir Zelensky and the corrupt Ukrainian government. And then he told the world his NATO intentions, which is that if China and Russia start getting too close to NATO, we'll fight back.
And every member of NATO knows it. And Russia knows it as well. An attack against one is an attack against all.
Hilarious. If you get too close to us, you literally just built 6 new military bases on China's doorstep, and you're using American-made weapons to attack Russia. These are the United States and NATO bases surrounding China at the moment. Could you imagine if this was the Gulf of Mexico and China, and Russia had bases on every little island they could find? The hypocrisy is so strong you can cut it with a knife. So we know that the NATO red line is not really about Russia, it's about China. It's about America's fading power in the world. And we learned this week that the United States and NATO just rolled out a new propaganda program as we prepare for a war with China. A new report lays out how the United States, along with Five Eyes nations and Japan, are launching a new propaganda and information war against China. In this report, Vice Admiral Kelly Osbach, commander of the Naval Information Forces. Did you know that the Navy had an informational forces? They do, because we need a lot of propaganda. He went on the record with a reporter and explains how the United States is actively spreading lies about China. That China is somehow now delivering weapons to Ukraine to help Russia. It's laughable, it's fake news, but they're trying to create the story based on no evidence. Here's Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield telling CNN that this is our new red line against China.
China should not get involved in this war in the sense of providing lethal weapons to the Russians. That it would be a game changer.
So suddenly all of these threats against China about them putting weapons inside of Ukraine for Russia? So where did all of this come from? It came from the same place all of that fake China balloon propaganda came from, that we're being attacked by Chinese balloons. It turns out they were kids' hobbyist balloons. But that doesn't matter, because a lie can travel halfway around the world before truth has a chance to put on its pants. Now, as Caitlin Johnstone explains, one significant recent instance of the United States government's acknowledged use of information warfare was when U.S. officials told NBC News that the U.S. government has been deliberately circulating unsubstantiated fake information to Western news media as part of an information war against Russia. They admitted this.
We start this hour with the U.S. using intelligence to fight an information war and doing it to Russia for months now, and it's working. NBC News national security correspondent Ken Delaney live in Washington. Ken, I want to start by giving people an example of what this is so they know what we're talking about. Take a look.
They're also suggesting that Ukraine has biological and chemical weapons in Ukraine. That's a clear sign he's considering using both of those.
So that was a total lie, and NBC News was telling us about that. Guys, you're watching the United States actively looking for its next fake Colin Powell moment where he holds up a small vial of chemical weapons and says that Saddam Hussein is using this stuff to justify a war in Iraq. And not to be outdone, the Wall Street Journal also got in on the intelligence propaganda by publishing a piece that came straight out of the deep state with this headline: Chinese drones still support Russia's war in Ukraine, trade data shows. Oh, so China is sending drones to Ukraine to help Russia? The answer is no, they're not. In fact, buried deep within the Wall Street Journal piece, they even admit the lie. But you'd have to read all the way down to the end of the article to find the truth. Then warmonger Anthony Blinken accusing China of getting ready to send all kinds of lethal weapons to Ukraine, he said this week. Then the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin fired back at a press conference shortly after Blinken made those comments, saying that the United States is in no position to be accusing anyone of pouring arms into a war. Ouch. The truth hurts. So you're being set up and you're being lied to. That's what's happening. This week, Putin gave a large speech laying out how the West uses lies and propaganda to cover up its NATO expansion.
И здесь опять лгут постоянно, извращают исторические факты.
The Putin speech was actually pretty astonishing. You should all watch the full thing if you want some context, because they'll never show it to you in Western television at all. My favorite example of this is when State Department spokesman Ned Price was telling all of us that Putin was hiring actors to create a movie where it would show a massacre occurring as justification for his war in Ukraine. And journalist Matt Lee isn't having any of it and demands to see the evidence of all of this. Watch him squirm.
One, the actions I've just pointed to. The fact that Russia continues to engage in disinformation campaigns.
You made an allegation that they might do that. Have they actually done it?
What we know, Matt, is what I have just said. That they.
Of course, they can't produce any evidence of this because they invented it. It's a lie. This is a desperate act by a desperate Western hegemony, which is quickly in decline. This week, we learned that energy resources being delivered from Russia to China have dramatically increased, including natural gas, oil, and uranium. So this partnership is now stronger than ever thanks to our bumbling lies and our failures of diplomacy. We are losing, and it's starting to show up in much bigger ways as we head into next winter. So that's the news update part of this video. Now I want to introduce you to our sponsor for today's video, which is tied directly to the Western demand for uranium right now. The demand is off the charts. The company is called Traction Uranium. And guys, this stock could explode very soon as they announce new drilling results at any moment. And you know these companies see their stock price explode after posting positive drilling results. Again, the company is called Traction Uranium. Their stock ticker is TRCTF right here on your screen. We need these minerals producers to be successful. And if we want to take any kind of a stand against Russia and China dominance right now, we need to be able to have these junior producers be successful. So let me explain why I'm so bullish on these uranium producers in Canada. First, the West has almost no uranium production, and we desperately need it. In fact, the United States almost has zero uranium production. That's why I invest in these junior producers in North America, because the moment that Russia and China decide to turn off their sale of enriched uranium to the West, it is game over, lights out for all of the nuclear reactors that the United States has. And beyond that, throughout the world is waking up to the fact that we need nuclear power right now. We need it more than ever. That's why Japan is turning theirs back on. Germany is realizing what a mistake it was to turn theirs off. We need uranium in order to make all of this happen. Are we going to get it from Russia? After we blow up their pipeline, they're going to continue selling it to us if we declare war on them? It's not going to happen. So I'm going to go through why this stock could explode in the coming weeks. So Traction Uranium has a lot going for it. Here are a number of big reasons why that I put down here on paper, and I want to go through these. So number one, the company hasn't started drilling yet, and drilling is imminent. It's about to happen, and timing is crucial on this one, guys. Anytime a company is about to drill is the time that you want to get in on a stock. The company just announced that they have their permits. They've now been approved for drilling. And they just started their electromagnetic surveying. They just issued a press release about this. So that means, again, drilling is about to start. What they do is they go up in helicopters using airborne electromagnetic imaging to find hotspots to start drilling. And that means once they announce drilling results with positive uranium results, everything changes. The stock surges and the market cap explodes. We've seen that in some of the other companies that I've talked to you over the past couple of years here on this show. After they announce drilling results, boom. Number two on my list here, they are drilling in the best uranium jurisdiction in the world. This is the Athabasca Basin in Canada. Now, if you've watched my show for the past 2 years, you know how awesome this spot is. In fact, a few weeks ago here on the show, I did a deep dive on the Athabasca Basin in Canada and why it keeps producing the highest grade uranium in the world. Better than Russia, better than anything that can be pulled out of the ground anywhere in the world. That's why it's so good. And the West has it under their control. Russia and China do not. Number three on my list, they have world-class technical advisor on their team right now that has made a world-class discovery just a few kilometers away in the same basin. He found a separate world-class spot. Now he's identifying a new spot, and that's where they're about to drill. So he's already identified some amazing spots in this region, and now he's identified some brilliant new hotspots that they're about to start drilling in. These hotspots show anomalous activity, which usually means uranium, which means pay dirt. And then they also have another geologist on their team that pioneered a new technique for exploring. No other company has this new technique at their disposal right now, and this is a huge competitive advantage. So all of those things, the permits approved, the new electromagnetic imaging that they're finding using the helicopters, and the fact that they're about to drill in these spots, this is a great moment to get in. Number four, and this is a big one for me, if you've been watching me for any length of time, you know that I love to invest in companies where the owners own a lot of the stock. That means they have a lot of skin in the game. So that is the case with Traction Uranium. The owners own 55% of the stock. And again, normally anything over 10% is a big deal. So the founders and the strategic partners, they have a lot riding on this. The other 30% of the stock is owned by Sprott Capital. Yes, Eric Sprott, you know him well. If you've been watching my show for any length of time, he's a mining legend, Eric Sprott. He's invested in this company significantly. So about 85% of the stock is owned by people that want to 10x their money, right? And that means the rest of the stock, the other 15%, is available to trade on the open market for people like you and me to buy it. And the fifth and final major reason why this company could explode in short order is what happens after they make a mining discovery. They have access to all of the production and refinement facilities right there in the Athabasca Basin. So there isn't a mine out in the jungle somewhere that they have to travel to. They don't have to ship it into the United States or Mexico. It's right there. which means it can bring it out of the ground and get it into refinement for nuclear power plants immediately. So again, they're about to start drilling. If they hit, this could be a massive explosion in stock value. I'm giving you something sort of like the equivalent of buying Bitcoin at $1 in value. This company has 2 exploration stage projects right now. The early geophysics tests are completed. They're ready to start drilling. This is a perfect time. Again, many of you have sent me kind emails saying that you've made a lot of money investing in some of these junior producers that we feature on this show. That's awesome. But again, I'm telling you, you don't have to thank me. That's you guys. You guys are doing your own due diligence. I'm just bringing you these companies that I'm investing in after I do the research. I've been watching this company very closely for months. And of course, when I started studying this company, their stock price was in the 20-cent range and then up to 33 cents. Now the stock trading today, as of right now, is trading at 38 cents a share right today, 38 cents a share. So again, just a few months ago, it was at 33 cents a share. So it's already up 5 cents since I last took a look at them and then made some big investments in them. So, you know, they haven't even announced their drilling results yet. So again, I'll be watching the stock very closely in the next few weeks as they announce drilling results. I conservatively love to see this stock hitting 60 to 70 cents a share or much higher. Again, that's conservatively after they announce drilling results. So do your own due diligence on this company. Here is their stock ticker again on the screen. It's TRCTF. I'll have a link to their latest uranium report on their website and their current drilling projects. All of that will be in the description below. And we'll see you next time, everyone.